Another video with the XS1100. Today what we're going to be doing is taking off the cam gears with the chain as well, taking the top heads off, and then we'll be able to get to the rest of the bike for the ring job. First thing that I got to take off in order to get the top end of these heads off, and also to be able to take these bolts here, here, and here, is what I want to do is take the cam covers that are holding the cam in. The cam gears have 2 bolts in them, so I can take the chain off and the gears all at once. Now when I end up taking the gears off, what I got to watch for is that this chain though doesn't fall down into the engine itself. So typically what I'll do is I'll get like a wire and then tie it off into the top end of the frame of the bike. That way everything still holds up. So it can be a little bit finicky, but it's really simple. Done it about once or twice now when we have the head sent out to the bike shop down the road. But I'm going to start with taking off all of these cam covers, and then we'll go ahead and put those in a plastic baggie, mark them, and then put them away. That way everything's nice and organized. It doesn't take a lot, guys, when you're taking nuts off of the inside of a engine top end, more so with a bike. When I was originally putting all this back on, I didn't want to do everything too tight because it is aluminum. Don't want to kind of tighten everything down, kind of stretch it out at all. Those of you that are familiar with working with aluminum, it's really easy to strip and really easy to squish it. So I definitely want to be careful with all of that. Now we got the right side of the bike, we got all those cam covers off. So now I'm going to go over here and take off the left side covers. Now there are 3 on this side that are holding it on, so on the other side there was only 4 caps. On this side we have 6 caps. Same thing though, get them all loosened. They come off really easily. They also have washers below all the nuts, so one reason why I don't like to just take the nuts off completely is so I can take them off with the washers. That way I don't lose anything as well. Just one of the pet peeves that I have. I like keeping things really neat and organized. Typically, if I have, let's say I take out a screw somewhere, if the screw is if it self screws in, then what I typically tend to do is once I take it back out, I'll actually take the part off that I was working on, but put the screw back into the hole that it goes, and it self threads into it. Just makes things a lot easier. So that way when I go to put everything back together, I don't have a bunch of bags laying around or a bunch of parts everywhere. It just makes things really nice and simple. And especially when you're working on something like this where you have a lot of small little parts that are really important, it's really good to keep track of where they go, what happens to them. Because last thing you want to have happen is you go to put everything back together and then you're looking for one bolt that you needed to actually put it all back together. I've had that happen before, and it's not pleasant. And it can be really aggravating if you really don't know where your stuff's at. So just kind of a little, I don't know, I guess a tip to keep you guys occupied while I'm doing this. Now that I got all the cam covers off, got them in a baggie, and I actually have a drawer all the way over here that actually, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. So basically what I'm doing is, since I like keeping everything neat, all the parts that I'm taking off this bike, I have 2 drawers, one up top and then one below it. So I'm just keeping all of them in plastic baggies, marking where they're going, and then just putting in the drawer. That way when I go to reassemble the bike, because again I want to be able to take off as much as I can with this bike and essentially strip it down to the frame, everything that I pretty much can and really want to deal with. That way when I go to put everything back together, I can polish up the chrome, paint a different color, whatever it is. That way it'll look really good. But now the next thing I'm going to end up doing is there are 2 bolts in each cam gear. So you have one at the top right here, and then one below it, then one over here, then one at the bottom. So I have 4 bolts I need to take off, and the gears will essentially slide this way. Once they slide back this way, I'll be able to take the tension off the chain and take it off the gears itself. And then it's a little bit of a process being able to turn the cam without actually damaging anything, scratching it up. But once I do that, then I attach a wire to this chain and then have it up on the frame, and I'll show you guys when I get to that part. So stay tuned for that. That's what I'm going to go and take care of right now. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to take off one side here with the cam gear. So we got that top bolt, I'm gonna lay that down right there. Then, next thing I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna take off this bridge that's in the center. Kind of helps align the chain. It's in the center of the heads. And next thing I'm gonna do is lift the cam up. The cam covers are off. The next step is going to be taking off these cam gears and the timing chain. Now, in order to do that, the first thing I'm going to have to do is loosen up the tensioner, which is to the front of the bike right here. And there's always a bunch of oil that comes out with this. Let's see if I can find it. It's always a little bit of a hassle getting to it. It's right at the front of the bike. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with this bike, but it's at the front, center of the engine. Alright, that's loosened. So essentially, once that's loose, what that's going to allow me to do is slip the chain off of the cam gears, and then I'll be able to spin. I'll be able to spin them all around. That way I can get to all the bolts. Alright, so that's loose there. Got the other one at the top, just about. And with that, we should be able to take it right off. Let's see. That the timing chain tensioner is off. You can kind of, I don't know how well you guys can see from there, but the chain is already pretty decently loose. Didn't have a lot of oil come off of it this time, so that's really good. This is always kind of the tricky part, getting this off. I was hoping it would relieve enough tension to where I didn't have to turn the engine manually to be able to get this off, but it looks like we're going to have to go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that I basically have the cam covers off, and those are all good to go, I need to get the timing chain off, along with the timing gears. So I was already able to get the timing chain tensioner off. 2 bolts hold that off in the front of the engine, or hold that on I should say. And now I'm going to work on this back gear. I don't know how well you guys can see from there, but I already got one of the bolts out. So what I basically had to do was manually turn the engine, which is super simple to do on these bikes, to be able to get to this last little bolt. And that will allow me to essentially take off one of the timing gears. Once that one's off, then what I'm going to end up doing is taking the timing chain off. Once the timing chain's off, I'll be able to slip the cams out, and then I'll be able to take the heads off. Super simple, so that's what I'm going to see if I can get this one nut broken, which, let's see, looks like we were able to do it on that last little nug that we did. Alright, so now that that's off, make sure I keep everything together. Let's see if I can get you guys a little bit of a better view here. Okay, well, you guys can see that. There it is. So, the gear back here slides off. Now that the chain is loose, the timing chain will just come out and around from it, and it's off like that. So then, next step will be I'm going to do it on this side, and then I'm going to essentially slide the cam itself on out. So I'll cut to that when I'm right in the middle of doing it. Alright guys, so now that I have the, I have a little bit of a hole that I can see you guys through. Anyway, so now that I have the gears off of the cam itself, now the chain is essentially off of anything that could interfere with holding it on. So just to be safe for when I go to take this out, what I like to do is I run a wire underneath the timing chain, and then I tie it off to the frame of the bike. That way when I go to take anything away, take it off, I'm not going to have any issues with losing the timing chain at the bottom of the engine, because that would definitely suck. Now for the fun part, taking this cam out, which at this point super easy to do. Just slide it on through without trying to hit anything. Good as I can get it. And there it is, guys. There's one cam of the bike out. Already have a cloth on the ground to set the cams on. Now to do it with the other side. Get it off there, and you see there, guys, how the timing chain dropped? That's basically what I'm talking about. Because if I didn't have anything holding it, it would just go straight to the bottom of the engine, and I'd have to attempt to try and fish it out, and that would definitely not be fun. I got the gears out. Alright, so already got the cams out, already laying there on the ground. Timing gear is also off, chain tensioner, all that good stuff. So now I am going to be ready to take the heads off, and we'll be good. Alright, so now we can go ahead and take off the 12 bolts that hold the heads on themselves. Last time I did it, it was, for the most part, relatively pretty simple to do, but some of them were definitely trickier than the rest. Let's see, that is wrong size. Thought it was a 15, should be a 14. Yeah, there we go. Size 14. And they're on pretty tight. I can't quite remember the torque spec on them. I want to say they were 90 foot-pounds, but don't quote me on it. So now that that's off, got the two front ones, which are the easiest, and then the hardest ones, which you guys are about to see in a second, are the ones that are in the very center itself, and then the ones that are in the middle are pretty easy to get to if you have an extension and a universal joint. So there's two. Moment of truth is, can't quite remember if I actually used the universal joint last time. Yeah, didn't think I did. Alright, so these center ones are now loose. Get this one broken free. And now we got the hard one. Let's see, I'm going to be able to work that way. Alright, is it going to be easy or is it going to be hard today? See if we can get in that hole right there. Captain, I can confirm that we are on, and it has broken free. So it looks like for once things are going to be pretty easy, knock on wood. Here's the other one in the center. That one's loose. Now that they're all loose, I can pretty much do it all by hand. So I'll cut to the next part in the video once I got all these bolts off on both the right and the left side. That I did forget was I need to go ahead and take each one of these carburetor boots off, and then this one line that runs from here all the way down, take that off, and then the heads will be good to go. I've already went ahead and taken off all the center bolts that are actually holding the heads on themselves, all the way in the back, right there and there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut to when I have these boots off, and then we'll be good. Another thing that I forgot, and I don't know how I missed it, but I gotta make sure to take the exhaust off in order to get the heads off. So everything is ready to go on the heads. I've already gotten everything unbolted, and basically the head line is right here that separates from the engine, and that is right where the exhaust is connected to. So the exhaust goes to the top of the heads. So I'm gonna get all these unbolted, and they're not on like you would think they are. So there's about, I would say, another, a little bit hard for you guys to see it, but I'd say there's about another 1/4 of an inch of the exhaust that's actually inside the head itself. Now what I'm going to try and do is get it all unbolted and then try and kind of take that 1/4 inch and slide it out so I don't have to take the entire exhaust system off like I had to the last time. But needless to say, if I have to, then that's just what we have to do. But this first one, I was actually able to get out all the way, so I should be able to do with the rest. So, as always, and like I said the last time, when I get that taken care of, we'll get this all finished up, and that'll be it for today. Time for the moment of truth. Exhaust is disconnected. Wires are out of the way. Timing chain is out of the way as well. So, there that goes. Let's see. I'm gonna actually try seeing if I can do it this way to at least get it off the nut like that. Get back. But it has something to support against. And this is basically where I can undo the timing chain wire that I had holding it. And see if I can catch it over here. Pull that through, pull the wire through. Otherwise the wire is going to get bound up. Let's see. That disconnected. There's that. That's out of the way. Let's see. And it looks like we had an issue with the gasket. Trying to get the gasket unbound without damaging it. Just because of how hard it is to find a gasket for these. It is really stuck up on there. There it is. So that's off. I'm going to lift the rest of it off right there. Turn it out. sadly, our gasket got all tangled up. I wasn't able to catch that. But there it is. And the heads are now out. And they are off the bike. Now to look at this gasket situation. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'd definitely say that that gasket is definitely messed up. Not quite sure how, let's see. With this gasket though, I actually may have a chance at saving it. This is actually a relatively new gasket for the most part. End up having to get for the bike. Yeah, looking at it right now, what I'll probably end up doing is just flattening it back out, and then when I go to put the bike back together, I'll end up using some make a gasket on top of it, or maybe just using that entirely. Not quite sure yet, but that's out and that's all good to go. So I'm going to put that with the heads, and let's see if I can find my rag because I'm a mess right now. Alright, so there it is. We were finally able to go ahead and get the heads off, and basically we just got to go ahead and do an entire ring job for the rest of the bike. It's definitely going to be interesting seeing how I can do a ring job on this bike as well. Probably going to need some help from my dad for that one. He's definitely by far more sharper when it comes to working on stuff than I am. But for the most part, I can do, you know, basic stuff like this, swapping out cams, taking heads off, blah, blah, all that good stuff. But if you guys are enjoying these videos, be sure to leave a comment down below. Tell me if I'm doing anything wrong, what I'm doing right maybe, what you guys would like to see. That's basically going to be it for today. I'm just going to finish up on putting a lot of the nuts and bolts away and basically labeling them. What I've been doing is taking a baggie with a marker, plastic bag, writing on it where it goes, and then I have a drawer set up like I was showing earlier, and that's what I put everything in. So as always guys, I'll see you in the next video. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Really trying to get this channel to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and I know we can do it. So again, if you guys have any comments or questions, let me know, and hopefully we'll be able to get them answered.